Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Ketchadori.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. Today, my special guest is Alex Genadinik. I hope I pronounced that right. He's a senior entrepreneur, a mobile developer, web developer, and a whiz marketer. He enjoys helping other entrepreneurs with their businesses, and the app that he developed a great way to build their business. He holds a BSc in computer science from San Jose State. Welcome to the call, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Now, we invited Alex on the show for two reasons. One of them is his expertise when it comes to marketing. He wrote a course which is on Udemy, which is all about marketing to reach 1 million people, which is incredible. And for those who are getting started, I think you find that one very, very useful. And the other reason that we've got Alex on the show is his ability to teach, make those hard things to understand plain and easy to understand. So I'm hoping that, by the end of our time together, you would have taken a lot of notes and be ready to implement the strategies that you're going to be learning today. So once again, thank you, Alex, for joining us on the show and giving up your time. I know you're very busy, just to share your knowledge with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. That's what I do is really share my knowledge with others and help others. So I'm happy to do that.
Incredible. To get us started, Alex, and for the audience to understand where you're coming from and how they can relate, to you, can you tell us a little about yourself in terms of background, education, and how long you've been in business and what's working for you today?
Sure. So I started out as a computer science major, and the great thing about computer science major is that if you have some idea, you can kind of make it happen, right?
Right.
As opposed to many other majors where you have an idea, but how do you make it happen? You're stuck. You have to depend on others. But the problem with computer science major is that you know nothing about business.
That's right.
Since I was young, I always had these ideas, and I was so excited about them. And then I would spend like months working on them, and then they would actually turn out to be bad business ideas or incomplete business ideas, or I just didn't know how to plan them, right? And I did this through college, and then I was working as a software engineer for a few years, and same things happened. I would be so excited about my ideas. I would work on them like in the morning before work, in the evening, sometimes even on the bus to work, on the weekends, and then always the same thing happened where once the thing went live, some business concept or something that could have been found in the business planning strategy phase really ended up coming back to bite me. And right. I started realizing that if only I had somebody to coach me, to help me plan the idea that I had in the beginning, somebody with experience, a 5 or 10 minute conversation with them sometimes could have been so productive that they could have steered me away from my mistake and towards a better strategy. And that could have saved me months of work and a lot of, effort and whatever. But I didn't have that. So I ended up kind of learning, what I call trial by fire, fail. And then they kind of started failing less because I ended up learning enough on my own.
What do you call it? Trial by fire?
Yeah. Well, that's just my own, my own experience,
I like that.
I just, plowed in, and then, and then I started making products that were inevitably a little bit more successful because, there's only so much failing you can do before you figure things out.
Absolutely.
So I started making products that were lukewarm, and then I think in about April 2012, I made, I guess, the first product that you can say it's a successful product, which was my mobile app that really helped people with exactly the thing that I was struggling with, which is to help them kind of plan their ideas. And when the app was very new, I offered a service that on the app for free where I would answer any entrepreneur's business questions. Sometimes I knew the answers, sometimes I didn't, but over time I've talked to over 1,000, maybe close to 2,000 people now. And so now I know exactly what people are struggling with, real entrepreneurs, real issues. And I probably help, and the issues repeat, so I probably help 20 of the same kind, right? How to start a restaurant, how to start a gym, how to start a mobile app, all these kind of things. So over time, I just got this really good expertise in helping entrepreneurs exactly with the kind of issues they need help with. And on my side, for me, I got very passionate about marketing because I really saw it as my kind of my ticket, right? If I do the marketing well, my product or my business is going to succeed. If I don't do the marketing well, my product or my business is not going to succeed. So the marketing and it's something they don't teach you in computer science, right? They teach you, computer scientists, we make products, the product, the product engineering, blah blah blah. But it's really the marketing that's going to get your stuff out there. And so I've gotten very into advanced SEO things, advanced social media things, a lot of scalable marketing. And the course that I teach, I titled it like how to reach 1 million people, but really I've reached like many millions already with my strategies. And of course, once people start a business, they need to grow it. And so really that's actually my favorite, is where they trying to grow it, and then I can share all my marketing strategies that I've sort of like perfected over time. And then, just to quickly round this up, after the apps, I started having, I had a YouTube channel where now it has over 1 million views. I've over time written 20 books, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not, because they're business books, they're easier to write. So I have like 20 books on Amazon, all on the topics of like business and marketing. And I have over 75 online courses on Udemy, and I do a little bit of coaching, and it's essentially all the same things, helping people get organized with their ideas, business planning, get started with their business, and hopefully a lot of the marketing stuff to help them grow.
Incredible. I like the track record that you have there, 20 books on Amazon and 75 courses on Udemy. Now you focus on Udemy. Let's talk about that for a moment. Why did you choose to publish your training via Udemy?
Well, Udemy, it's a very interesting thing because it's like Amazon for courses, right? It's the biggest marketplace for online courses, and I like commerce. I know on the internet we have a very popular business model, which is the freemium business model, right? You give a lot of stuff for free away in the hope to attract people, and then when they come to your free product, free website, then hopefully you sell something to them.
That's correct.
But it works and it's great, but direct commerce is so much better, right? You don't have to. There's no funny business, right? A person comes, they know they're going to be paying, they're ready to pay. It's a good customer, they pay, and you don't need to sell them. You don't need to finagle some upsell somewhere. They already paid, so they get a quality product. And it's not like because if they come for free, then that's where the fun begins, right? Then all the marketing to them starts. But if they already paid, there's no need to market to them. They can just get the quality product and get exactly what they're looking for. So it's a nicer way for me to just give them more value. And of course, financially, direct commerce, it's transactional. So
incredible.
That works.
And how long have you been doing Udemy for?
About 2 years.
Awesome. And I was looking at one of your courses already. You have more than 6,000 students, taking your courses. The 13-hour training you prepared. How long did it take you to put a course like that together?
That particular course, I think you're looking at the marketing strategies to reach 1 million people course. That particular course, it took a while because at first it was one of my earlier courses. So at first, like anything, when you're starting out, it takes you longer.
That's
so it
right.
took me some weeks to put it together. And then this past summer, it was a year and a half old already. So I have to update it. So I refilmed the entire thing, which also took about a week or two, because I have a lot of the lectures have PowerPoints and it's like downloadable, so it's not just videos. And then now I am also, every once in a while, I go back and I refilm some lectures. So it's a lot of ongoing refilming. Some strategies get outdated. Some strategies get invented, and then they need to be added. So I constantly try to update the course.
Incredible. Well, it's obvious to me that you have started a business, and the business is striving, and you keep on working on it. You're the right person for us to have for an interview. Now, to get us started, what is the first skill that you have come to appreciate as the most important skill every business owner needs to develop if they're going to succeed in business?
It's a good question, because I think earlier I would have answered with some kind of a hard skill.
Right.
Maybe programming, which is super valuable. Maybe writing, which is super valuable. But I think after talking with a lot of entrepreneurs, I think what ended up carrying me forward, and there was, now I can talk about some successes, but it wasn't always like that. It was a lot of challenges, like a lot, because you can imagine from my story how much failure I had to go through. And so it was very challenging. And I think the hardest thing was to get the soft skill, the mental approach, to be able to get over those failures and keep on going forward. I think almost everyone that I talk to, I think I get more excited about other entrepreneurs' businesses than they get excited themselves. and, like I want to help them. And I'm like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I can empower them and give them all these things. But if they don't have that inner drive, they end up not doing the work. Somewhere along the way, they kind of like stop, for some reason. And I think part of it is, and I wasn't born any different. But I think over time, I just kind of learned to, during the entrepreneur failures, that's where you sort of become stronger mentally a little bit. That it trains that. And I think that, like, going through the hard stuff, going through the failures, because a lot of people want like overnight success and how do you succeed faster, which it would be great actually. But you really become stronger as an entrepreneur after going through all those things. I mean, they're like a necessary evil in a way. So maybe that soft skill, that perseverance, that the overcomeness, I don't know how to really explain it, but I think that the persistence.
Absolutely. And you've touched on this very briefly, how you have developed the soft skill. If you were talking to a new business owner who's getting started, what would you say? Do this first to develop this particular skill, or do this for you to get to your goals faster. What would that be?
I actually know exactly what it would be, because when I was when I was still in either college or just finished college, I totally randomly started writing down to-do lists for myself.
Right.
Not like to do and put it on the refrigerator and forget it, but like a little piece or even on my computer, because I always have it open, and I would always have like a little text file with things to do, and it would keep me really organized. And I would make it small. I would break big tasks down to small tasks, and my goal became to make at least a little bit of progress. And I knew that, like, if I accomplish, like, basically, I'm like, I need to work on my goals that I have for my life.
That's right.
And I can't do them overnight. But if I make the simplest progress each day, at least the tiniest, I will at least give myself a chance, right? So,
absolutely.
So I ended up breaking even like the bigger goals into smaller tasks and smaller accomplishable tasks. And I would write them on my to-do list. And every day I would do them. And the task can be something, some days obviously we can't do anything, right? We're busy. But the task then, it would really mean for me, the task for that day would just be to clear off all the busyness so that the next day I can get into working on my whatever I wanted to work on. But basically I kind of ended up aligning my life to work on things that were more important for me, that would get me closer to my goals. And also that constant having a to-do list, having my tasks organized, gave me like a little bit of momentum and built my habit over time to just work. And, it, over a lot of time, I ended up like, accomplishing some things that I wanted. So I can really look back to that. And I think I did it by accident, but then looking back at it, there's some science behind it, because a lot of research shows that if you force yourself to do something, there's only a limited amount of forcing that you can do to yourself. Like if you want to quit smoking, there's a very limited amount of forcing, that you can do, but if you make something a habit, like exercising, or something, and if it's a daily habit for you, then it's natural. That's really the definition of a habit. It's kind of natural part of your life, and you don't waste any mental energy on it, and you just naturally do it. And so it's so much smoother and more natural if you form a habit of doing something than forcing yourself. That and this to-do list building, that's exactly the step to start building a habit. So I kind of just stumbled into that successful pattern and just never really looked back.
Incredible. You mentioned maybe there's someone in our audience who seem to get stuck on that. How can they get unstuck, so to speak, and get moving? What are the tips you could share with them?
Sure. So I actually recently did a whole course on procrastination. And there's a number of ways. There's like 6 or 7 or 8 ways that really reasons for different people, different reasons why they procrastinate. And one of them is really that they're stuck. And they can be stuck for a number of reasons. Like the tasks might be too difficult. They might not enjoy the task. They might be getting too distracted, friends, family, social things. Because for every person, they might voice it as being stuck, but behind that being stuck, there's a very different reason why. But I think one universal solution is to, first, I think a person has to really question, like, is this really what they want to be doing? Because they might be stuck because they don't actually want to be doing it. It's not, maybe it's not that important. Like, there are some things that everybody will say, yes, I want it, right? If you ask a person, do you want to start a successful business? Almost everybody will say, yeah. And then if you ask them, do you want to do all the work? They will like, no, not really. Having a business is sexy. People are going to say, yeah, but it's not. But if you really consider how important that is in their life, it's, okay, important, but it's not like they're not dying for it, So it could be that it's just not that, it's a nice to have for them, but it's not like must have. But if it's a must have for people, then I think if people are stuck, are they perfectionists? Maybe, they're waiting for that perfect thing to come along before they're starting, or maybe the task is just too big and confusing and discouraging, in which case the solution would be to break the big tasks into many smaller tasks, and then tackle the smaller tasks which are manageable and doable, and then build momentum this way and confidence, and have that way overcoming the hurdle. So there's actually a lot of different strategies, but the person who's stuck has to identify precisely why.
Incredible. I love the way you break that down, for our audience so they can relate to it. Let's jump on to the next important skill that you feel is very important for business owners to develop, if they're to have any kind of success in their business.
Right. So, I talked about the persistence.
Yes.
which, by the way, I think they did a study on what makes a genius, right? They looked at like Einstein or something like that.
Right.
And I think Einstein himself might have mentioned about it. Like, he was not like the smartest guy in high school. Or there's a lot of people saying that, but it's really the people who persevere. They stay.
Okay.
They stay with the problem the longest. They end up figuring it out. Like, not 100% of the time, but there's a high correlation.
Like you rightly put on that there's so much failure you can do before you succeed.
Yeah. Run out of ways to fail. So that's one. I think there's a lot of hard skills. But, I think also people have to kind of look inside themselves. Not everybody can, be a marketer and a product developer, right? Sometimes it's important to identify what you are good in and surround yourself with complementing skill sets. Because in my business, the way that I did it is kind of like, I listened to, I don't know if you're familiar, but there's this really good guy, Jason Calacanis, who's like a super well-known entrepreneur.
Right.
And he's got his own show that back in the day I used to listen to. And he was like a very anal manager, he was a very like type A.
Okay.
He talked about how he would like raise a lot of money and build big companies. And he would talk about how like he had to go and spend a few weeks with a certain department. Let's say the marketing is not doing so well. So he would go with that, spend time with them. And then like, maybe the product people are struggling. So he would go and spend time with them. And so he ended up saying like, he ended up learning how to do each job with his company to about a 60%.
Okay.
Yeah, to about a 60% level where he could be like intelligent about it,
That's right. Yes.
But that's certainly not for everybody. But it really depends on, again, a person has to kind of look at themselves and see what's right for them. Like in my case, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am if I had to outsource a lot of things, right? So my books, I had to write to a reasonably good degree. The courses, I had to learn to do with video and presenting things on video that I have no background in this. Nobody ever taught me. It's all like self-taught. Disaster at first. At first, it was really hard. Like if you look at my early YouTube videos, they're like really bad. It used to take me like 15 minutes to say something that now I would say in 3. So all these things, I kind of learned them over time. So there isn't like one skill, but maybe the thing that really tied it together is willingness to learn. Because I also had to learn how to make the mobile apps before that, and I had to learn business strategy and video and audio and marketing. Basically, for me, I'm always learning and improving.
That's right.
So that's it's another soft skill, but it's so overarching that without it, I would not be able to do so many different things.
No, because the world is changing, the world of technology is moving, and people are learning faster. So if you want to be, if you don't want to be obsolete, you have to continue learning and growing. Let's maybe mention 1 or 2 things that if you were to start over again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
I would really spend more time getting coaching. like because I did it early, but I approached one person, it was too expensive, and I quit, and that was the extent of it. Now I would look much more deeply into that, and I would be as a young entrepreneur. I was really excited about my ideas and being the underdog and making it happen. But now I would, and there's an exciting thing about that. But now I would really seek out different coaches for different things.
Right.
For example, I think in my actual own experience with coaching and other coaches, I think a lot of people have something in their wheelhouse. Like somebody might be really good at SEO or outsourcing or social media. But for me, it's rare to find some coach that is good at many, many things. So I would get many coaches for very specific things.
Right.
I think maybe that way you would really optimize the coaching, to get exact expertise from the top expert in that.
That's right. So, with talking about coaching, if looking back during those days when you didn't have enough money, what other alternative did you use? I'm thinking of some audience who wants coaching, but at this point they cannot afford it. How? What's your advice to them? How can they go about it?
Yeah, so there's many options. First, not all coaching has to be like those big programs like $5,000 package or $3,000 package for some people. It doesn't all have to be like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I approach coaches and I say, hey, I just need you for a few hours.
Right.
Can you give me a good rate? Like, I just need to jump on Skype at your own time, convenient. And, you can do it for a couple $100s. You can pick somebody's, like a really brilliant person, super expert's brain for a few $100s. And that's that's way more affordable. The second thing to that, when I was starting out, I listened actually to a lot of like podcasts.
Right. Like the one we're doing right now.
Like the one we're doing right now. This is amazing because it's free and you're giving this gift to people. I actually used to listen to a lot of Jason Calacanis, the guy that I mentioned.
Right.
I used to listen to a lot of his stuff and learn from him, and I'm infinitely grateful to him. I don't think I would have accomplished nearly as much without him. So there's an infinite amount of free things, and of course, but free also only gets you so far, because people who provide things for free, usually they want you to take the next step into their better content.
That's right. More comprehensive stuff.
More comprehensive, right? And I think if you value your time, value what it will mean, as a person, as somebody who's looking to learn, if you're like, well, how much better would my life be if I really did this the right way, if I really got the most optimal help, then that next premium product is probably worth paying. So and I what's the word, like, I practice what I preach, because on Udemy, like, I have 75 online courses that are premium, but I'm actually a student there much more than an instructor. Like, I've taken over 100 courses on everything, like from how to sleep better to like how to be healthier, all these kinds of things, and a lot of the things that over time that I myself needed to round out in my business skills, I would just take a course,
Right.
Because not one person can know everything, and we always have to keep learning. And actually, that's what I did. And and Udemy is really affordable also, and none of it is all that expensive if you consider the potential of the benefit you can get.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Well, when you mentioned that, I remember when I invested in a 5,000 program, which led me into what I do right now, running an outsourcing company. At the time, it was a lot of money. That was way back in 2008. But I went for it. But looking back, that was one of the wisely invested income or money that I have ever invested, because with it I've generated well over 100,000 pounds back from just that 5,000 pounds. Even though at the time it was huge, but looking back, it was just pence, really, like cents in a dollar. So it's the same thing with coaching. If you find the right person with the right skills and who has a proven track record, and they're prepared to give you their time, pay them for their time. It will come back to you, many times over.
Yeah, I mean, if you use the advice intelligently, some people just take coaching and don't act on it. But if you actually act on it, yeah, many times over.
Yes. You must, when you pay some money, you must make it happen. Otherwise, you're just putting money in the drain. Unfortunately, 97% of people who buy online coaches never do anything about it.
Yes.
For those who actually get down to work and they will see some results. Now, I know, Alex, there are people in our audience today who would love to connect with you at some level. Would you talk to them for a moment and how they can go about doing that?
Sure. I love connecting with people and helping. I mean, my entire business is predicated on that. The problem is my email is so long. It's because it's my alex.genadinik. It's my first name, my last name. So maybe what I'll do is I'll tell people to go to visit your show notes page for the show, and then you can maybe put my email there. I actually have a thing right now where I started doing 15-minute calls for just $5, and the $5 is like a negligible fee, just as long as it's not free. Because if it's free, a lot of people who are not serious take it. So I made it a very tiny barrier, $5, and people can get a sense of like, am I the right person to help them? And basically, if you can spell it, it's alex.genadinik, or you can visit my website, problemio.com, and go to the contact page, or maybe it's better if people go to the show notes page for the show, and there will be a link to my email or my website or something like that, so that people can reach out.
Incredible. Let's talk about the 15 minutes call that you mentioned on there. What can they expect to have during that time? Is this a coaching call, or what is it?
Yeah, I try to provide a lot of value fast. It's not always possible because some businesses are very difficult. But for most businesses, people are usually very surprised about how much we get accomplished.
Right.
And I don't try to sell them on those big $5,000 programs. I actually don't have one yet that I'm selling. So,
okay.
But basically, I just, if they need more time, it's basically an hourly thing. I try to give a reasonable rate. And I try to get them, in an hour, 2 or 3, I try to get them up and running, and hit the ground running with very specific things for what they can do for their business. And so in the call, we can either focus on the marketing or we can focus on the business strategy. But generally, just we kind of focus on, there's very little of like, hello, how are you? And we just really get into the business, discuss it. And of course, that's really the value that people see. If they're getting value from the 15 minutes, then it's worth continue. If not, then it's fine. But,
Absolutely. And they can get these details on your website as well if they want to progress with that.
Yeah, they really just need my email address and to email me and tell me that they're interested in that 15-minute call. And we can easily get started.
Incredible. Let's talk very briefly about your courses. You mentioned you've got over 75, and also you've got over 20 books on Amazon right now. If there was one of those that you would recommend to business owners that you think, I know all of them are great because you wrote them, but if there was one that you would want business owners to pick and that could really help them get started, especially those who are starting out in business, which one would that be, and where can they find it?
So the one that, if people need to get started, there is a course that I made, and it has an accompanying book. And when my apps had something like 300,000 people in it, which at that time I thought it was a lot, but of course now looking back, it's not. Now it's bigger. But they all. Well, not all, but a lot of them asked questions, and those questions were in my database, And at one point, I went through the questions and I grouped them and I organized the questions, and I ended up answering all the questions that people had about starting a business.
Right.
And that ended up being my course and my book on how to start a business, because literally I answered all the real world questions that real people had. Right, the 300,000 person sample set of people, which is extremely comprehensive and a lot of research. So that's one of my Udemy courses. And of course, that's just for starting a business, business planning, fundraising. And then the accompanying course, of course, is the marketing course, where like people need to grow it. So I would recommend taking the course on starting a business, and then my course on marketing strategies to reach 1 million people. That way you got everything covered. You got like all the correct business sense and business strategies and business planning, together with how do you promote this thing really well. And I do have a page with discounts to all my courses, and I'll send you a link. So maybe you can post that on your site so that people can also easily find that and get those courses at discount.
Incredible. Any final thoughts, or maybe on mindset that business owners needs to have for them to stay in this game for a long time, or any thoughts that you think might be helpful to our audience before we wrap up things here, Alex?
Actually, mindset is really the most important thing, because all the other skills, you need them sometimes, but your mind is there with you all the time. Like, you can't get rid of it even if you want it.
That's right.
I don't know how to make a person's mind perfect, but I would research it into different, there are some, I have an article about, business psychology, where I talk about like managing your ego, dealing with failure, dealing with criticism. I wonder if I should dig that up, but really, I think if people start with that whole like building a habit, maybe trying that to-do list approach, it's very simple, but it's crazy effective. So maybe that's like the first place, a simple place to start that is not overwhelming.
Incredible. Alex, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope that many of our audience have taken great notes. I know I have. I've learned a lot. And once again, thank you for being generous with what you've learned over the years. So everyone, I want to invite you once again to go to this website to check out what Alex has to say. That's www.problemio.com. That's PROBIEMIO.com for more information and actually to get in touch with Alex. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your support over the years. My name again is Yeukai for World Outsourcing Solutions. So if you have got any needs regarding outsourcing needs, do send us an email to support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com, and one of the team will be able to be in touch with you. With that said, I would like to wish you a great day, everyone, and most importantly, thanks, Alex, for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.